Hey, BA fam, welcome to Brown Ambition. Today at the Brown Table, we have two incredible guests. And all I can say is that Brown Ambition, we are not going to be the kind of podcast where you're going to get the latest news and headlines about the economy, about finances, about business. This is where you're going to find hope. This is going to be a space where I use this platform to tell stories that inspire, to tell stories and to give space to people who can help us all tap into that little tiny nugget of optimism that we need to be pouring into. We need to be watering that seed to get us through everything that we know is happening, all the effed up stuff we know. Y'all know, I know, BA fam, y'all read the news. You understand what's happening in the world. When you come to Brown Ambition, I want this to be the warm, cozy blanket, the mug of tea, the glass of wine that your sister friend pours for you at the end of a long week, a long day. And for y'all to just feel like, okay, when I'm here, I am going to feel poured into. I'm going to feel inspired. I'm going to feel hopeful. I'm going to get some value. I'm going to walk forward with maybe an additional tool, resource, or a bit of knowledge that can help make me more resilient in the face of what we've always had to endure, right? And what we will continue to endure. So I just want to reset that tone for Brown Ambition, let y'all know how I'm approaching this podcast, always have, and will continue to do so. And with that, let me tell you about these queens, okay? Two incredible women join me on the show today. One is Dr. Lakeisha Key Hollman. So you'll hear me call her Dr. Key because we're cool like that. And she is the founder of the Village Market. Now, since it was founded, the Village Market has served over 1,440 businesses. It has managed to create $8.8 million in direct sales to Black-owned enterprises. And they have distributed $800,000 in grants to support the businesses that are part of this marketplace. If you're in Atlanta, go visit it, check out the vendors and the businesses that they feature. It's also a direct solution and answer to the economic disparities that we see among Black business owners. Tell me why data shows Black businesses in Atlanta, this blew my mind when I read this, are valued at only $58,000 compared to Latinx businesses, which are valued at $457,000, and white-owned businesses, which are valued at $658,000. I'm talking about if you're owned by a Black owner in Atlanta, 10 times less valuable to the marketplace than a Latin or white owned business. Like, I don't make it make sense. So it is a struggle, right? It is a struggle to build a business in the best of environments. So imagine being a Black owned business in Atlanta where you're dealing with this kind of disparities. Dr. Hollman is also going to talk about her book, and I want y'all to run out and get a copy, especially if you're someone who is feeling down at a time like this and you need a reminder of the importance of community. This is the book for you. Her book is called No One is Self-Made. I'm going to put a link in the show notes. A woman, and just wait till you hear her voice, because something about Dr. Key, I had to stop and ask her, like, you got like Baptist preacher in your blood or what? Because when you talk, I just want to be like, hey, man, it really brings out my roots, you know? And we are joined by the wonderful Renae Bluitt. So last time Tiffany and I hung out in person, oh, no, that's not true. I saw her on New Year's. Before that, Tiff invited me to this event in Brooklyn that she had been gushing about. She's like, girl, this is Black Girl Holiday Bazaar. It's only Black owned businesses, mostly owned by women. And it's called the She Did That Bazaar. And I was like, okay, I'm going to finally go see what this is all about. And they only host it once a year, the holiday market. So I packed the baby up. I went down to Brooklyn and had my mind blown. It was such a beautiful event. And Renae Bluitt is the founder of this incredible community. It's not just the holiday bazaar. She's also working on expanding this to other marketplaces. Like, she's going to be doing a food and beverage marketplace in New York come this spring. She's worked with CultureCon. She's worked with Curl Fest. And she'll talk about how she's built this business and how she, transitioned from her career in PR to now sort of being this through line between Black owned, minority owned, women owned businesses and the access to the community they need to thrive, and also to the customers they need to thrive, and to the business opportunities that they need to thrive. And I love this conversation because you'll hear Renae and Dr. Key, who didn't really know each other that well before we started this conversation, just support one another. It's just amazing to be witness to that. I hope y'all are left feeling encouraged. If you're someone who has a business and you're struggling and you feel like you're the only one struggling, or all you hear about is how difficult it is to thrive as a business owner, but walk away from listening to this episode of Brown Ambition having a having having an action plan for how you're going to build community. You're going to go research. She did that. You're going to go research the Village Market in Atlanta. You're going to look these women up. You're going to buy Dr. Key's book. You're going to find out how you can be a part of those communities. Or if you're not in Atlanta or New York, which I know many of y'all aren't, there are other incredible entrepreneurs and marketplaces like this that maybe even in your own local area, that maybe one thing you do after you listen to the show is you go look them up. You find out how to become a vendor. You find out how to get in community with them, how to attend one of their events, and just leave here understanding that, like Dr. Key says in her book, no one is self-made. We all need support and community to achieve these incredible dreams, ambitions that we have. And so I'm really proud to bring this episode to y'all today, BA fam. I hope you enjoy it. And here are Renae Bluitt and Dr. Key Hollman joining me at the Brown Table. I took a gamble. I took a risk. This is the first Brown Table I've ever had where the two guests didn't know each other really before, but I just had a feeling. I'm like, there's no way that these two women have been doing the work that they're doing and haven't like crossed paths, or at least at the very least support what one another is doing. So we have Dr. Key Hollman, who is joining us from Atlanta. Welcome. And we have Renae, is it Bluitt?
Yes, Bluitt.
Renae Bluitt, who you're in New York, right?
Yes, in Brooklyn.
Based in Brooklyn, where all the Black girl magic happens.
Yes.
It's fine. I'm just over here, just fading away in Westchester. But we're so far, so close, yet so far. Welcome to the Brown Table. Welcome to Brown Ambition.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
this is going to be a great conversation.
How are y'all feeling? Let's just start there. How are y'all feeling right now at a time like this in the country? And what's kind of giving you hope right now? Dr. Key, I'll start with you.
Sure thing. I'm first, thank you for asking. I'm feeling a multitude of things. I can say presently in my body, I'm a balance of anxious, but also calm. I have both a sense of hope and resolve. I think I can operate in this duality is because I really am serious about boundaries. And that's boundaries of how much news I take in, how much social media I take in, because I have to be well in mind, body, and spirit. But it's a lot of vibrations going on over here. But what gives me hope is being able to have conversations like this with like minds. This is where our superpower exists. So I'm feeling very hopeful. All this brown girl magic that's happening, it really fills my cup.
Renae, how are you doing?
Thank you for asking too. I appreciate it. Similar to Dr. Hollman, quite a few feelings happening over here. I will start with, what a lot of people are feeling, which is a bit of overwhelm. I would not be human if I didn't identify that feeling, but also incredibly activated right now. This is our time, and it's unfortunate that, things are unfolding the way they are, but the people who are doing this work are not shocked. And in moments like this, I'm really proud of myself, proud of women like Dr. Hollman, because we have been doing this work long before it was a trending topic. And we've been committed to this work in a way that, when moments like this happen, it's just like, oh, okay, it's time to double down. Like, heard you, got it. And so that's, a little bit of what I'm feeling right now. And these conversations, like she said, are so empowering and just really give me the fuel to keep going. So I'm looking forward to digging in.
Yeah, there's no need to call what we've done. Like, I've been doing this for 10 years with Brown Ambition, and it's like y'all have been in the game for a long time too. Dr. Key, when did you start Village Atlanta?
Almost 10 years ago. So in
10 years, okay.
The idea came to me in 2015. I launched it in 2016, and The rest is history.
Yeah. No special initiative post 2020. Like this has
Oh,
been,
absolutely.
and independent too. When y'all started your ventures, Renae, it started for you as She Did That. Was that the documentary that was the beginning, or was it the bazaar?
No, actually, fun fact, it started with me with In Her Shoes. I had a blog back in the day in
Okay.
2009. I launched this blog
Okay.
and I was blogging about Black women founders, when the blogosphere was relatively new, when all of your favorite blogs were about gossip, fashion,
Hmm.
sports, style, all those things, beauty. But I was really focused on talking about Black women entrepreneurs. So that website
Oh.
is still alive. To me, it's almost like an archive of Black women entrepreneurs and our journeys. And every once in a while, I'll go back just to kind of reflect on who we were featuring back then and what they're up to now. But my work started
Hmm.
then, and In Her Shoes led me to She Did That.
Okay. So how was that transition? And were you treating In Her Shoes as a business? Were you like making money off of that, or were you working corporate at the same time?
So when I launched In Her Shoes, I was working in a PR agency, doing
Okay.
PR in like the multicultural space in a general market agency. And then I was also moonlighting as a consultant to a lot of Black women owned beauty brands back when the
Mm.
natural, hair movement, well, I don't want to call it a movement because it's just a lifestyle. But
Yeah.
when the whole natural hair conversation started, I was doing PR for a lot of your favorite natural hair care brands. And
Okay.
that was kind of my, I would say the blog was kind of like my, I had my 9 to 5 and then I had my 5 to whenever.
Mm-hmm.
And it did get monetized a bit, but quite honestly, I didn't start it for that purpose. I did it because I just wanted to share more Black women founder stories. Back then, we were way like underrepresented. We were not in this space now where entrepreneurs are like rock stars, right? Like the women that
Mm.
I was writing about back then were doing the work, but not getting the exposure they needed. And that was the inspiration behind the blog.
Yeah, they couldn't go on TikTok and go viral, and
No,
it's
no, no, no.
different. I feel like crossroads when it comes to launching a business where it's like, where does the service and capitalism, where do they marry? Like, how can we create brands and businesses that serve, but then also like can support ourselves with it? If you get those types of questions, like, where do I merge my need to serve with my need to put food on the table? That's the
Yeah,
key.
I'm a social entrepreneur. So you're talking to how I started my business. I have a book coming out February 4th, No One is Self-Made. And I write in one of the chapters that those that do the work should also be economically liberated. I am working to ensure that entrepreneurs that's a part of the village market, that's a part of our Village United, that's a part of my retail store, Village Retail, are economically liberated. I also need to
Mm.
be economically liberated to continue to further the work and the mission, and also the trajectory of the generational wealth that I'm hoping to leave to my nephews and their children and their children's children, and so on and so forth. But there is a sense of conscious capitalism. I think that we have to be, for those that are producers in creating things and selling things. What I'm more called and drawn to is asking them, what are you creating? Is it healthy for the mind? Is it conscious what people are wearing on their bodies? Is it good for the body? Is it good for the soul? That is the charge that I push for all the brands in the village market. I want us to have high quality organic products that's not harmful to the skin, to the body, so on and so forth. If we're making apparel, it should be conscious. Everything for me is about being our best and highest vibrations. And so I take a holistic
Mm.
approach. But yes, for entrepreneurs and for folks like Renae and I, we need to make money. And for every entrepreneur that we
Mm.
serve, we have a social impact lens. I push entrepreneurs to also have a social impact lens, because it's not just good for us to individually do well. It has to flow to the community as well.
And how does that help with the profitability?
Yes, quality. Yeah,
Quality.
absolutely. Quality. The thing is, I don't know if we go into certain retail stores. and we even question the cost of it. We just know that this is a quality brand and we buy it. When you go to, high-end retail stores, because I work with retailers, high-end retail stores, we maybe we question the cost, but not really, because we know that we're getting something that's high quality brand and also unique. So we don't necessarily explain why something costs what it does. What we do is produce a high quality experience, high quality a product, and people are more so excited to have it. So we in the Village Retail, we're not really seeing people that's saying, "Why does this candle cost that much?" They know that it's a good quality candle.
I have recently become an adult in my candle purchases. Like, they're not all the $5 ones I get at Home Goods. Like, a quality candle's expensive. Renae, when you walk into the She Did That holiday bazaar, you felt that. I love the way that you had this like greenery. You had the boy section. He did that. You had the little Shea Moisture section. I'm sure that's evolved over time, but how important is it to you as well to like create that experience where you're like, you're creating, like Dr. Key said, an environment where it just oozes, this is high quality. No one's going to question it.
It's very intentional. In fact, every year when we're curating, the brands that are participating, that quality, that intention, that love that these founders are pouring into their products is really the top of the list when we're thinking about who we want to invite into this community. I'm a Virgo too, so I'm very like, I know what I like. It just feels good to walk into a room and just know that, like, wow, a Black woman created this with love, and now I get a chance to purchase it and bring it into my home. But before I go further, I just want to stop and thank you for pointing out that what was the term you used? I think you said you want the brands that you feature and also yourself to be economically liberated.
Yeah.
That was a word. That was a word that resonated with me, because I think the misconception is that people like us who are of service to our community are like, doing pro bono work, like
Yep.
if the brands are monetized and need to be profitable, so do the platforms and organizations that are elevating them and pushing them forward and creating opportunities and bridging the gap. And so when you said that, I was like, oh my gosh, we probably have to have an offline conversation about that, because I'm constant.
No, do it now.
I feel like I am constantly making that clear that, like, wait, pause. This is a business.
Right. So you're not like, so is that because vendors don't want to pay for placement at the bazaar sometimes, or they question it?
It's not even so much the vendors, but it could be a plethora of things. It could be a brand, for example, inviting me to come and speak during Women's History Month or Black History Month, and not really having a budget for it. Like this time of year, and I'm sure your inbox is also flooded. We have Black History Month coming up. We have Women's History coming up. And I am just floored every year by some of the requests. I'm like, okay, wait, you want me to leave my home, which I love. You want me to leave my city. You want me to leave my work for the day of travel, the day of your event, the return, and you don't have a budget?
Yeah.
Make it make sense, And so don't get me wrong, not everything that I do has to be transactional. There are a lot of things that I do that are just, because of the heart that I have for the work that I have committed my life to. But at the point where brands are asking you to leave your city and leave your your business for a couple of days, I'm like, oh my goodness, there has to be a disconnect here about the fact that this is in fact my career. This is how I make a living.
And I think it's the more we humanize it, right? I think it's important for folks to know that we're real people. We're in service of something that is much higher than us. It's a calling. We're fulfilling almost like a spiritual obligation that Not everyone
Yes.
gets the vision to create these models, to create bazaars, to create marketplaces, and we do so for the betterment of our people. But if the vessel is never filled or supported, then the visions will begin to dry up. That is
Yes.
not what we are aiming to do here. But we're full people with responsibility, with people that also rely on us. I
Hmm.
am one of the centerpieces for my family. And so I think what I lead with is just that I'm a human being serving a higher calling. But because of that, this
Mm.
is now my career pathway. I am one of those that
Yes.
if I was so fortunate to do it for free, I would, but I'm not so fortunate. I have to be able to
Yeah.
survive, and I don't want survival to be the end goal for any of us. We should be in a
Yeah.
consistent place of thriving. That is the vibration that I
Mm.
want us to be on.
Yes.
Thank you for saying that.
Mhm.
I I want to talk a little bit about how community and how y'all have harnessed. I know Dr. Key, your book.
One is self-made.
Thank you. Hold it up for
There we go.
people.
No one is
No one is
self-made.
so.
So, thank you.
Congratulations. Wait, hold it up a little bit longer so I can take a little good screenshot for social. Okay. No one is self-made. Build your village to flourish in in business and life.
Yes.
Okay. This is the thing that I will not shut up about is how post-election, how do we, how are we coping? What are we going to do? Community, community, community. And I want to hear from y'all, like, how has community driven business success for you? And yeah, say a word on that.
She did that would not exist without community, like point blank, period. And the beautiful thing about the community that we've built around this brand is that we are in service to each other all year round. Like there's so much connection that happens behind the scenes, so many collaborations, so much support and counsel. It makes me proud. Every time I hear about one of the brands that we're working with doing something in partnership with another brand, I'm like, yes, that is what we're
Okay.
here for. Like every single time a seed is planted and it flourishes, whether it's immediately or later, I'm just grateful that the work we're doing is really making an impact. And the thing about community that I want a lot of us to remember is that it's not something that we tap in during times of need, right? Like we have to be mindful and just very committed to consistently checking in with people, not when they are doing something for you, not when you need something, but just in general, because you just never know, what can come out of those connections, what people are going through, and how you can really just help someone to move forward.
Yeah. And also don't wait until they, like Dr. Key, you holding up the book. It's like, I wrote a book, and then you get a flurry of text like, congratulations. Da, 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 da. I'm like, where were you like 10 months ago when and I'm writing a book right now. So sorry to project this on you. But I'm like, where were you at 4 a.m. when I was down here hiding from like trying to get my 2 hours of writing time before the kids wake up and like struggling, fighting for my life? I could have used like a go girl,
Yeah.
at a time like that.
Piggyback on something that Renae said. I think what's so beautiful
Mm.
when you build community, when we are experiencing times that we're experiencing now, we're not searching for anyone. We already have each other. You build community to be proactive, not reactionary, because those
Yes.
reactionary communities are not sustainable. We're here to, we're all mad at the same time. We're all hurt at the same time, but we want healthy, viable relationships. So what's so beautiful about having community, it gives you this safe place to land. For the entrepreneurs of the
Yeah.
village market, I wanted it to be a multi-pronged, multi-vested approach. I shouldn't be the only person that they see that's talking about entrepreneurship and helping them to think through brand identity and things like that. I have foot soldiers of other like brilliant, brilliant people who are part of the fortress of the village. So these entrepreneurs are not relying or not seeing anyone as a singular hero. None of us, that should not be our goal. When people think of the community, they should be thinking of Renae, Dr. Key, and we can name a litany of other people, but the community is built for viability, so we can be there during those dark hours and also moments of celebration, because everything about some
Yes.
community is not dark. Everything is not about community is only being in a place of hurt. I can tell you, my community, thinking about this book, everybody's so excited because I've been nurturing this relationship for years now. And so the central focus of the book is community, how to build it responsibly, how to make sure you do your own healing and self work so you can be an active participant in the community where it's not just strictly transactional, not you only communicating with people because you want something from them. But community, how do we build it? How do we sustain it? How do we grow our economies? How do we grow our overall, the beloved community that Dr. Martin Luther King talked about? It takes a stay focused. And my book, chapter by chapter, talks about that. And every chapter ends with reflection questions because I'm a former educator. I don't want to just talk to talk. I think you have to give people a blueprint on how to and what are the outcomes if we stay consistent, disciplined, and focused on building.
What tips would you guys have, or what are some like, concrete steps someone could take today if they feel like they haven't built the community that will help them thrive yet?
One thing I would say is when you are looking to build community, and whatever word we want to use in place of network, because I know for some people that's cringy, I like to always think about approaching these people with something in hand, right? Like, you know how we were raised to, if you're coming to someone's home, you're going to bring something, you're not going to come empty handed. The same thing should be applied when you are reaching out to someone and you're ready to make a connection with them. Think about what is it that you can bring forth to add value to what they're doing, to maybe provide some additional insight or support. I think that is one of the best ways to kind of like unlock those type of relationships, because so often I think we've been conditioned to think that, if you're networking, especially when you think about platforms like LinkedIn, people like us are getting flooded with, inquiries and I'd love to connect, and there's no context there. And it's like, I wish I had time to connect with strangers, but if someone is reaching out to me and there is something that they could do that, could possibly help me move my mission forward, the chances of me looking at that and responding, even if there's no connection, is significantly higher because, as you mentioned before, entrepreneurship can be a lonely journey. It can be overwhelming at times. And whenever we feel like there is some level of support there, we're likely to open the door and at least like peek our head in and see like, who is this person, and, what are they about and what are they working on and how can we support each other?
I'm also thinking about the importance of like making a memory with someone. And I talk a lot about, so I hear what you're saying, Renae. And I think when the bit of resistance that I imagine some people feel is like, well, I don't know what to offer. And like, how do I even offer it? Am I going to run into someone? It's like, well, put yourself in a situation where you could encounter that person and like don't even focus on what to give them or like what you could, like where this could lead, but try to be so present. Like just have a good interaction in the women's bathroom, like that's what I'm talking about. Just like, I love your shoes. That's amazing. Like forget almost like, what the future can hold and just like have a really good experience. And then, if in 6 months you've run into each other again, or you come across, it's like, oh, I know when at that event you mentioned you were working on this. I just had an idea, and you have that like little bit of a seed of a connection,
Yeah, I like that. I like that. And I like the thought of taking the time constraints out of it. I think that we do live in a world of like instant gratification. So we think that the first time we see someone, this is like the beginning of this relationship. How about just seeing them and, like you said, Mandi, having an authentic, genuine, real conversation, and then seeing them again somewhere, and then maybe you see them on social. Like we shouldn't put so much pressure on ourselves and other people to like immediately make this connection. And like I meet so many people that I'm more likely to remember that face that I'm seeing, like, oh, you showed up at my event, or now I'm seeing you on Instagram or on TikTok or at this event. And so those are the ways that like I think we could really make those genuine connections that could lead to something bigger or not.
And I think that we have to trust abundance. right? I think when we meet
Yes.
people and we
Mm-hmm.
feel that we have to get it all out right now, and I think we're afraid that we'll never see those people again, or that we'll never have that opportunity again. So we have to trust abundance.
Yeah.
We have to recognize scarcity. We have to recognize that if you met this person, it's a good chance if you make an impression, a genuine connection, that you will see that person again. But I know, and I have a
Yes.
great deal of empathy, for people who are in a state of survival right now. When you're in a state of survival, you feel like I have to be time bound. I'm going to go to the future today and miss the present moment of even asking them how they're doing, the present moment of actually fully seeing them. So I have empathy for that. But I want to encourage all the
Mm-hmm.
listeners to trust abundance, to trust that if you cross paths, you make that genuine connection, you will see these people again at a time when you have something more to offer. And also, life is about balance. There are some seasons where you have more to give, and other seasons where you have to more to receive. We just, and when you're in a position when you don't have much to give as far as something tangibly, you have to be dedicated to when your situation changes and you meet someone that's in the same position as you, that you give them the same humility and humanity that someone offered you. That is how we
Yeah.
sow a greater seed. Because I think sometimes we get to the place and we forgot where we were. Remember where you
Mhm.
were when you get to the pinnacle of your success, and still recognize the people that's on their growth journey.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I'd had that little pep talk right before I went to this really fancy dinner at Afrotech, and I was sitting across from like some incredible women, and I got a little scarce. I'm not gonna lie, Dr.
Mm,
Key. I was feeling that pressure. I'm like, this dinner's gonna be over soon, and I haven't talked to everybody, and I
mm.
don't know, and I lost it. Ugh, and I've been reliving that. Anxious mind. I'm working on it. But thank you for reminding us. I almost think anytime you're about to go to one of those events, just say, I'll save this little portion of this podcast and just like play it. Remember, you may encounter them again.
And
What was
remember,
that?
you were at the table.
I
Go as
know.
them.
I forgot I was at the
Yeah.
table. I really could not. I could not find my feet, man. I probably because I wore really uncomfortable shoes, and that was probably. I do not talk about pandemic. I stopped. I did not know how to wear a heel hardly before, and certainly not after.
Definitely not.
And yeah, it's okay though. I was at the table. There'll be another one. I didn't
Yes.
scare anybody off. No, I wanted to ask you, I wanted to give you a chance to talk about the way that you've helped businesses raise capital. And, I've heard many an entrepreneur highlight the challenge. I mean, there's already been challenges trying to fund, get Black owned businesses, minority owned businesses funded, right? And I want to hear what your approach has been. And if you cover that in the book, that's great. But I'd love to get y'all's take on how businesses can get the capital they need to grow at a time like this.
I was
Yeah.
hesitant because I feel like I just had a long-winded answer, so I was trying to share space well.
Oh,
But what we do at the Village Market, one of the things I'm most proud of is that to date we've been able to generate $8.8 million in direct sales to Black businesses. And the reason why I start with that is because there was a time where I couldn't assist entrepreneurs to give them grants, but I knew that I could give them people. So my goal for the Village Market, and I know this is Renae's goal for the bazaar, is you show up, you be operating excellence, have high quality, and I'm going to bring you some people that already value you. So you don't have to do all that
Yes.
overextending and all the stuff that we feel we have to do. I'm going to bring you people. And so my motto for the Village Market was to be people powered. And so we've had a big economic push in the city of Atlanta. But since then, now I have a program under my nonprofit, Our Village United. We work with entrepreneurs across many cities and many states. And so we work with these entrepreneurs through incubator programs, accelerator programs. We bring funders to the entrepreneurs. And so those funders can be CDFIs, those funders can be investors, angel investors, things like that. But also at the end of our programs, we also have pitch contests and we disseminate grants. It has been incredible. The last 2 years, we're close to 1 million in grants that we've been able to disseminate. And so I raise the money and then I do micro grants for the entrepreneurs. We've been, and yes, I write about this in the book, but this book is only the lived experience that I have. What I'm trying to inspire other folks like me you do not start an idea simply because you may not have the capital to be an investor today. There is power in people with money who are ready to spend and buy and who will be lifetime customers. Then also be innovative, start partnering with the people with money, build it around programming. And then as I get grant dollars, then I'm able to disseminate more grant dollars from the grant dollars that I received. Yes, I write about this in the book because I am also writing to who I was 10 years ago with all these ideas of community, want to drive change and enact change, but there was no book for me to read. And Toni Morrison told us, if there's a book that needs to be written and it's not out there, go write it. So I wrote that book.
Renae, is there anything that you have picked up or any work that you're doing to bridge that gap between businesses that have ideas, they have products, services, whatever, and they want to thrive, but they're missing like an investor, or they think they're missing an investor, or they've been doing all e-commerce and maybe they're thinking of like doing a marketplace to expand their reach, and they're just not sure which channel to like press the gas on a little bit to increase their revenue, their customer base, all of those things.
A lot of the work that we did in 2024 what gave me an opportunity to really leverage like my PR and marketing experience, brand connections, and bridge the gap between these larger corporations and small businesses. And one partnership that I'm really proud of was, and you saw part of it at the Holiday Bazaar, was with Shea Moisture. We created the Business That Bonds initiative and really gave these small local businesses an opportunity to show up in spaces that they typically wouldn't have access to. So one was Curl Fest. It's a huge festival that happens here in New York City. We gave out micro grants that covered each businesses' overhead expenses for showing up in those spaces. So their vendor fees, we created all the marketing materials for them to promote it. And I don't think people understand that for a small business, while, it's not the heaviest lift, it could be a heavy lift. You think about like the fees, like I said, how do you market it? How do you, do your merchandising? How do you get that set up? We really supported them through that journey so that they could show up at Curl Fest. We did a huge activation with Shea Moisture at CultureCon, which really exposed these small businesses to celebrities and just all these really dope people that came out just for the purpose of celebrating our culture. And then we closed out the year with the Holiday Bazaar, where we introduced the He Did That marketplace that went over really well and had a chance to kind of bring men in the community, because my platform obviously is about women, but it had been on my spirit and on my heart for so long to bring men into the conversation and into these spaces. So that is something we're really proud of that we did last year. We still get a lot of notes and just feedback and reflections from some of the small businesses that we were able to amplify with that. And then the next event that we're working on is coming up in April, and it is Queens of the New York City food and beverage scene, where we are specifically focusing on Black women in the food and beverage space, in the culinary space, and just really making it, a celebration of culture, food, and commerce. So creating these spaces that are intentionally created for our brands to thrive is really what wakes me up every day, and just feeling like I want to just dig deeper into this work, especially like we said at the top of the conversation, in this climate we're in. It's like, okay, we got us. We don't need the other stuff. We got us. And this is how we're going to show up for each other.
There's something just about being in that space at the Holiday Bazaar, and I'm coming to whatever you're doing. I'm coming. I'm on the mailing. I hope I'm on the mailing list. I'll show up. I'll bring friends. I will not bring the baby this time, because last time I
you were
like, oh, it's a market. But he was loving that DJ though. He was like, hey. My Remy Roo. He's my little party animal. I hope you had the vegan Dominican place. What was that place called?
Healthy as a mother, yes.
Ooh, I'm talking about delicious vegan pastelitos. I never knew that was a thing. Anyway, I'm gonna get myself all the way off track. But just being in that space, there's just something really, if you let yourself find your footing, Amanda Woodruff, talking to myself, and just soak up the prosperity, just soak up the, women supporting women, and yes, invite our boys. I've experimented. I made my friend Chris the guinea pig for Brown Ambition. I was like, I'm gonna have a boy on the panel and see how how we feel about it. But I put him on watch. I was like, this invitation could be rescinded because like sometimes y'all trifling and we need to like have a little bit of a space. But I really felt when you said that was on your spirit, and yeah, you're right. Just having these pockets to just see us succeed. That's what Brown Ambition's about. Dr. Key, I think you were gonna chime in. I want to give you space for that too.
Absolutely. I just want to make sure the readers like understand the magnitude of what Renae just shared. She's given people the big three. That's access, that's social resources, and people power. That's going to generate to capital. That is the big three. And when you're thinking of entrepreneurs, especially startups, they may have one of those things, but the cost that it takes to be able to walk through the door of access, to have high level celebrity social capital or even community capital, to have these people right there walking up to you is a cost that is what Renae is building. It is very hard to come across for an entrepreneur. So it may not be the $1,000,000 investment, but this investment to me goes further and longer, because this can change the trajectory of your business, but not just the trajectory of your business, but the trajectory of your mindset, to be in a space that's so elevated and to know that your business is there as well. And so that's the big three. And I'm hoping all the listeners understand how powerful that is. And that is the model. So Renae, that is incredible.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for even affirming me and the work. And it's such an honor to be seen by someone else who is in this space and just as invested as I am. So thank you so much for those kind words. I appreciate you.
I love this so much. I think anyone who's listening, and we do have a lot of entrepreneurs, especially the 9-to-5 entrepreneurs. Shout out to my girls. I know that struggle. Who may be wondering, what if I can have a window in or an opportunity to join one of these communities that y'all have already built? I think that's such a great point that you made, Dr. Key, is that when you join communities like this, you go to you get in the, She Did That Bazaar, or the Queens of Food and Beverage in New York, or the Village Market in Atlanta. You're automatically a part of a community. Like you can always say, well, I'm a Village vendor and so are you. We have something in common, So how can people get in touch and learn about how they potentially could be a part of what y'all are building?
Sure thing. For me, go to villagemarket.com. If you're a brand that's looking for retail placement, go to thevillageretail.com. If you're a brand that is looking for support, technical assistance, pro bono services, we support entrepreneurs with their accounting, all small business support, back-end support. Go to ourvillageunited.org. We have something really special that we've been building now for the last 10 years. And I have to call out how incredible my team is. So you hear my voice on this podcast, but I'm a reflection of some really brilliant people who decided to go on this journey with me. And their faithfulness is the reason why we're so impactful. So I have to champion my brilliant, incredible team that's some in Atlanta, but sprawled across the United States now. I work with some really incredible folks.
Yes. I feel like every time you talk, I want to say amen. Were you a preacher? And do you have like preacher in your
I probably just
grew
grew. That's what happens when you go to church all the time with your grandma.
I was going to say, because I got a lot of family who's like Baptist preachers, and I may not sound like it all the time, but sometimes it comes out and I'm just like, yes, ma'am. Amen.
Yes. And she has such a calming spirit. Like her delivery is very like whatever you say,
thing.
like whatever you're putting down, I'm picking it up. Like, yes, I believe that. I receive that.
Thank you.
And Renae, what about all that you're building? How can people be a part of it?
You can visit us at shedidthat.co. You can find us on social at shedidthat.co. Or even follow me personally. I share a lot of kind of what I'm doing before it becomes the thing there on social, and I have connected with so many incredible women. And my social handle is I am Renae Bluitt, RenaeBluitt. And I'd also like to take a moment to just give thanks for my small but mighty team who not only believes in the work that we're doing, but also believes in me and my leadership and my vision. So thinking about women like Nico Watkins, Camille Cooper, like I would not be able to do this work without the support of these dynamic women. So thank you, ladies, if you're listening.
Well, thank you both for just sharing your light and your wisdom. And yes, whatever magic sauce you have in your voice, Dr. Key, thank you for that, for just like sprinkling that on us. BA fam, thank you so much for listening. And I will put all of the links to all the things, the links to get Dr. Key's book. Got to support that. And if you're watching on YouTube, you've seen the cover. Hold it up one more time for the YouTubers. Dr. Key. There we go. I love that. And the circles in the middle. I see what
You
you did
see what I
there.
did?
I did. Thank y'all
Thank
so
you.
much.